I invite forward our first senior speaker, Brenna Auld, and we may be seated.
Hello, I'm Brenna Auld, and I'm 17, but it's hard to believe that in 2 months I will be 18 years old. It may have been even stranger for people who have watched me grow up in this church. I currently attend Henry Ford Early College in Dearborn, which means that even though I'm a senior this year, I'm not graduating until next year. When I graduate, I'll have many beginner college classes completed, along with roughly 2 years' worth of college credits. After finishing this semester, I had straight A's for 3 semesters in a row. My start in high school has been a bit rough, but college classes have been a way better fit for me than high school classes ever were. And other students my age struggled too due to COVID complications. That was very hard for a lot of students because learning online is tough. My mom has been bringing me to Christ Church for a very long time. I was baptized right after Easter, and during my baptism photo shoot, I kept flipping the candle upside down whenever the photographer tried to fix it, and I would laugh every time. Eventually, they gave up and took the photo even though I was holding the candle wrong. I remember the Christmas and Halloween parties really well, and who can forget the Easter egg hunts? But my favorite by far was the Advent tea parties. Everyone put an amazing effort into making food, drinks, and decor for everybody. I also just appreciate a great tea party. Who doesn't, right? But I really miss one event, which was the King's dinner party for the Epiphany. I love anything medieval and fantasy themed, so that was a big hit with myself. So that dinner party was a treat. I remember 3 long tables and of people sitting down, and I vaguely remember performers. I do remember they had a whole pig roast and scrolls on those tables. And I don't remember every detail because it's been quite a bit, but if they did it again, I would dress up because I was sad I never got the chance to use any of my costumes that I have for that era. And because I attend the Renaissance Festival every year, excluding 2020 and 2021 due to COVID complications, I have a ton of costumes that I can just wear for that kind of stuff. And if we did it again, I totally would. And I remember winning 2 free tickets from that dinner and a bunch of little themed items for the Renaissance Festival, like a mug and I think a little calendar. And I used that other free ticket to take a friend. It was an amazing memory. And all of the events planned by this church were a great way to bring people together as a community. I really wanted to thank all of you who have helped me throughout my years here. Anybody who's helped me, I'm really grateful. And all my Sunday school teachers deserve recognition, especially Miss Megan and Taylor for making an amazing Italy trip for us to go on soon. And I really want to thank and acknowledge Miss Ann, Miss Kathy, and Miss Lauren, as you've all been here to support me as I've grown up as a person. And that has really been very important to me. And I want to give a huge thank you to anyone who's bought or donated to any of our J2A fundraisers, as it means a lot to me that all of you have helped us be able to go on the best pilgrimage we can. Next year, I am truly graduating from my high school. I have a few colleges in mind, but Michigan State is where I hope to attend university, as a much smaller college wouldn't be a bad option. I want flexibility offered by a larger school, so if I decide that I want a different career, I can get a degree still. That's pretty good. Because things change at my age. That's normal for everybody. People make changes in the middle of their college career. That's not odd. And Michigan State is also one of the top schools for astronomy and astrophysics, which I hope to go into someday. I want to help discover new planets, stars, and galaxies. I've always been fascinated by space. I used to watch videos all the time about stargazing in the universe when I was very little. And maybe one day I'll help discover life in the universe. I want to contribute to humanity's amazing discoveries in the cosmos. And I hope one day, one of those frontiers, someone who discovers aliens might be me. You might see me on the news. And if that ever happens, just remember that you knew me. And thank you for listening.
Oh geez, how am I supposed to top that one? I would like to let you know my speech does not start as charming as my best friends here. It starts a little something like this. When I was a kid, I was afraid of two things: High School Musical and the year 2012. High School Musical is irrelevant to this speech, so dismiss the idea entirely. 2012 was scary as a kid because we all thought the world was going to end, and John Cusack and his little Hollywood family were going to board a yacht together while the rest of the world slowly drowns, or however that movie went. Well, 2012 passed, and so did the fear I had of the apocalypse, which was slowly but surely replaced with newer, more realistic fears as time went on, like taxes, inflation, reboot franchises that stray so far from the source material. And then, these are possibly the worst type of fears to follow the previous, newer, less realistic fears, which is not good for my age. Started off on a dark note, but trust the process. Growing up, I was told I was gifted, yet simultaneously I was not as fortunate as a lot of my peers. I don't come from an ideal family background with substantial wealth or even structure, for that matter. A lot of life skills I had to learn myself. I'm still learning. I always will be. 18 hit me like a truck, and so did the lessons that come with adult life. Number 1, always save your receipts. Number 2, garbanzo beans are 4 cents cheaper at Target than at Aldi. You're welcome. Number 3, you're not going to have everything figured out like you wanted. You're not always going to get the closure that you need or to tell the people in your life the things that you need to tell them. And you'll fall, and you'll stumble, and you'll make a mess, and you're going to ask yourself time and time again, how am I going to pick up the pieces now? You are going to hit lows you didn't know were possible, and when you hit those lows, you're going to get tired of them, and you're going to get back up, dust off your shoulders, and get on with your life. There's a certain clarity that comes with the feeling of losing it all. That comes with moving out and finally leaving the life you tried to escape desperately for years, and when it happens, still not being satisfied. Still waking up terrified every day of going back, and worse yet, still not knowing what you want out of all of this. In the middle of the storm, you reach a certain ray of confidence. When the rest of the world gets so blurry that none of it seems to matter, you start emailing your boss that you missed a ride and couldn't come in today. You start apologizing for things you said in the heat of the moment. You start cleaning the kitchen you destroyed in a fit of rage the night prior. That's the hard part right there. In the aftermath, you get an email back from your boss saying, "It's okay, I'll see you at your next shift." The people around you forgive and forget. Now the kitchen is completely decluttered and has never looked more beautiful in all the years that you've had it. And every single time, you pat yourself on the back because these are not things you knew how to handle before. When the floodwaters get higher and all you want to do is sink, you realize you have a life jacket that won't let you, no matter how much it hurts to hold on. When you spend months isolated in Colorado, worried of all the people who might have forgotten about you, you have a life jacket that announces your arrival back to the congregation, welcoming you home. Once a week, you see people who seem to remember more about your life than you do. Once a week, you attend a shelter to sit back and reflect, connect with people like you, and get something to eat when money is scarce. Once a week, you feel a supreme light and a ray of warmth as the thoughts that bother you every other waking hour of the day suddenly go quiet. Once a week, there's a service where you're not a cautionary tale, you're a human being. And if you stick around for just a little bit, the things that get you the most turn out not to be so bad after all. The funny thing about all this is that despite how fast it seemed I had to grow up and face the music, my dreams are just as wild and childish as ever. I'm proud of that, and it's weird to be proud of that, but weird's sort of my forte. As you may or may not know, which is surprising if you don't, as I tell this to everybody, but I have dreams of writing a show. Kind of like a crusty waffle iron sitting in the back of the pantry. No one really knows why it's here, but they're not complaining. Who knows? Maybe some network executive's gonna have a really good morning, walk downstairs to the kitchen and shimmy his little shoulders going, you know what we haven't had for breakfast in a while? I've had my eyes set on movies and TV for years now, as it's so easy to look into someone else's made-up life to make you forget about your own for a few moments. But when you're the one behind the screen telling the stories yourself, your life becomes that reality, which is passed to and interpreted among others like a beautiful game of telephone. It's looking a little far away, but at least now it feels like I have the means there to get there, which is not something I could have said before. I think as I move into this next chapter in my life, I realize out of all the fears I could have had, my biggest fear was never failure. I faced it a long time ago without even realizing it. There's a good fear in me now, and that fear is quitting.